Okay. Howard Wallin helps organizations and individuals find their voice. Howard draws upon some 20-plus years of executive management experience and his entrepreneurial talent from owning 6 small businesses. His mission is to help organizations grow profitable businesses and to help individuals enjoy a deeper sense of meaning and fulfillment on the job. Please join me in welcoming Howard Wallin.
3 days ago, I read in an airline flight magazine an updated list of the top fears of adults in North America. An updated list. What do you think they are? Spiders. What? Ah. Well, first of all, it's not terrorism. Sometimes that's what I thought it might be. And that was in the top 5, but that's not number 1. You know what else is not number 1? Public speaking is not the number 1 fear. Number 1 fear of adults in North America today is the fear of aging and the associated deterioration of our personal appearance. Turn to the person right beside you and say, "You are gorgeous." You are gorgeous. Now turn to that other person and say, "Thank you for stating the obvious." Our society really is obsessed with personal appearance. But is it personal appearance that really makes a company, a department, an individual stand out from the rest? Have you ever noticed how you can recognize the work of some people just by their style? For example, you see a painting, and even though you've never seen it before, you immediately say, "That's a Picasso." Or you hear a song for the first time, and you immediately say, "That's Bob Dylan," or "That's Whitney Houston," or "That's Eminem." Their style is unique. You know, if we want to increase our personal and professional effectiveness, we have to discover our uniqueness. We have to find our own voice. When you were growing up, did you have a favorite relative? I grew up in North Carolina, and my favorite relative was my grandmother. I loved her so much. When Grandma was in her late 60s, she got this huge crush on Tom Jones. You remember him? Tom Jones. He had a television program that came on at 8 o'clock Saturday nights. Grandma would be sitting there in her favorite chair, and when that show came on, she'd scoot right up on the edge of her seat, sit up really straight, and she would totally tune out the rest of the world. It was as if no one else existed but her and Tom Jones. Tom would start singing one of Grandma's very favorite songs, "She's a Lady." And in the middle of that song, he would untie his bow tie and start to unbutton his shirt. Grandma would reach over on the table, take a tissue out of the box and pat her face, and she would say, "Oh my, oh my." Tom Jones found his voice, and oh my, Grandma found hers too. I sometimes struggle trying to find my voice. How about you? Have you found your voice? Do you remember in high school, there was always that one goofy little kid who made bad grades, wasn't very good in sports, and who was always trying so hard just to fit in? Well, that kid was me. I wanted so much to be a part of the hip crowd, the cool crowd, the in crowd, but I could never quite figure out how to break into their inner circle. I would pick one of the most popular guys and I would watch him. I'd study his behavior and I would act like him. I figured, hey, he's popular. If I act like him, I'll be popular too. Well, it doesn't work that way, though, does it? After a few days, I still wouldn't be popular, so I'd pick somebody else and act like them for a while. My behavior was about as predictable as the flight path of a hummingbird. Why? Because I was trying to be something that I'm not. I was modeling my behavior after someone else's. I hadn't found my own voice. In the late 1960s, officials of the North Carolina public school system decided to allow high school students to become school bus drivers. Now, this was a bold, gutsy, and foolish decision. But if you were lucky enough to become a 16-year-old school bus driver, it was the best of all possible worlds. You got to drive, you got out of school early every day, and they paid you for it. I was one of the first to sign up. One day, 5 of the very coolest dudes from the in crowd are standing outside the cafeteria talking. And sensing an opportunity to get noticed, I go to them and say, "Hey guys, let's cut class, take my school bus, and go hang out at the lake for a few hours." One of the boys looks at me and he says, "You can't steal a school bus." And I say, "Oh yeah? Watch this." Watch this. That's one of those expressions that you often hear used in the South. And whenever you hear that, you know something really bad is about to happen. Well, the 6 of us get on the school bus. We drive for about 10 miles. We come to a traffic light. The light's red. I stop. We sit there. It never turns green. I'm not driving through a red light. So I decide to back up and cut through a gas station lot. I put the bus in reverse and back into a woman's bright red Eldorado Cadillac. Ouch! Now, thankfully, no one is hurt. But 15 minutes later, I'm face to face with a North Carolina State Trooper and Mr. Huntley, the high school principal. Have you ever had a really dark moment in your life? I couldn't imagine a darker moment until my father drove up. Well, we're all gathered around, and I look at the state trooper, and I say, "Sir, before you arrest us, there's something I'd like to say. This was all my fault. I talked these other boys into cutting class. I'm the one who took the school bus. I'm responsible, and I'm ready to suffer the consequences." Now, friends, I have to tell you, that's one of the hardest things I have ever said in my life. And that's why I was so surprised at how good it felt. You see, in the midst of all of that darkness and chaos, I found my own voice. I decided then and there that I was never going to try to fit in again. I decided I was going to become the best me that I could possibly be. Well, I was suspended from school for a week, put on probation for a year. I paid for the repairs to the Cadillac out of my bus driver wages, and I was grounded until I was in my mid-30s. Ladies and gentlemen, the lesson is this. Life is too short to worry about what other people think. As a company, as a department, as an individual, you have to find your own voice. You have to become the best you that you can possibly be. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.